Which brings us to the second strange thing that happened on that first Easter Sunday. The second strange thing that happened was Jesus instantaneously appeared to his disciples who were hiding in a room with the doors and windows locked. Look at John chapter 20, verse number 19. That Sunday evening, the disciples were meeting behind locked doors because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders. Suddenly, Jesus was standing there among them. "Peace be with you," he said. Do you see that? The disciples were afraid that they were going to be arrested by the very same Jewish leaders who had arrested Jesus and crucified him. So they were all in one room hiding. And all of the windows and the doors were locked, like they couldn't break them down. But you know, you always feel safer when you lock the doors. And then all of a sudden, suddenly, Jesus appeared in their midst. And he nonchalantly said, "Peace be unto you," which was the traditional Jewish greeting. Now, I guarantee you it scared the bejesus out of them. I guarantee it. In fact, Luke tells us that they were startled. Look at Luke chapter 24, verses 36 and 37, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It says, Jesus himself was suddenly standing there among them. "Peace be with you," he said, but the whole group was startled and frightened, thinking they were seeing a ghost. Now, do you see that? Jesus suddenly appeared and greeted them, and it startled and frightened them. Now, the word startled is translated from the Greek word ptoeo, and ptoeo refers to that very first gotcha moment when someone scares you. You know what I'm talking about. You're watching a horror movie, and all of a sudden it's getting to the scary part, and the music begins to build suspense. Dunna, 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 na, 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 na. And boom! The hand reaches out and grabs the victim by the throat. And what do? You jump out of your seat. That moment you jumped is ptoeo. It's the gotcha moment when you were startled. But it says that they also remained frightened, which means that even after the first gotcha moment, they were still scared. Why? Because they thought Jesus was a ghost. What else but a ghost or a spirit can appear out of thin air and vanish into thin air? So they thought Jesus was a ghost. Look at verses 37 through 40, still in the book of Luke. It says, but the whole group was startled and frightened, thinking they were seeing a ghost. "Why are you frightened?" Jesus asked. "Why are your hearts filled with doubt? Look at my hands. Look at my feet. You can see that it's really me. Touch me and make sure that I am not a ghost, because ghosts don't have bodies, as you see that I do." As he spoke, he showed them his hands and his feet. So I want you to notice, Jesus had to convince them that he wasn't a ghost. But why did he have to convince them? He had to convince them because he had this supernatural ability to be able to appear out of thin air and vanish into thin air. So how did he convince them? Well, ghosts don't have flesh and bones. Ghosts are ethereal. Everyone knows what I mean by ethereal, right? Ethereal means lacking material substance, immaterial or intangible. If you reach out to touch a ghost, your hand just goes right through them. So what Jesus said was, touch me. You'll see that I'm not a ghost, because ghosts don't have bodies. Ghosts don't have flesh and bones. Ghosts are ethereal. But I'm getting off track. My point is this: Jesus' resurrected body was both physical and extra dimensional, which means that he had a physical body that could exist in our Einsteinian space-time dimension. Everyone know what I mean by Einsteinian space-time dimension? Well, in physics, space-time is any mathematical model which fuses the three dimensions of space, length, width, and depth, and the one dimension of time into a single four-dimensional, we would say, manifold. In fact, Einstein is the one who developed this space-time dimension, this theory for his law of relativity. So we refer to it as the Einsteinian space-time dimension. But here's my point. Jesus had a physical body and an extra-dimensional body. With a physical body, he could exist in our four-dimensional world. our space-time dimension. But he also had the ability to step into another dimension, a higher dimension. In essence, his resurrected body had the ability to go from one dimension into another and back and forth. That's why he could appear from thin air and vanish into thin air. Now, that's pretty strange. But it gets stranger.